Camilla in the MTSAR Conspiratorium page, and she was wondering, what is the purpose of evil, if any? Is it there to make us stronger? Is it there to somehow help us evolve and shape our soul on our journey?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's a good point, and there's many ways to look at it. There's many definitions of evil. Ultimately, I've tried to give my definition of it, which is self-murder, or again, just the eclipsing again of the true self because of conformity. You know, conformity helping you to repress. They suppress, you end up repressing. What could be more evil than that? When you're walking around, you know, in that state. But yeah, wars, bloodshed, you know, the injustices of the world, you know, and there are. Does it strengthen us? Well, there's great teachers, people like Hegel, the German philosopher, who thought, look, as bad, as painful as the journey of life is, as chaotic and monstrous as the process of history looks, the spirit, you know, is moving towards its final awakening. So as dreadful as some of this stuff looks, it's all for the good. So there's been people who say, yeah, it's not only strengthening us, it's inevitable. You can't have pleasure without pain. You can't have wisdom without ignorance. So it's just impossible. So evil, the evil deeds are part and parcel of the growth towards, they make a case for this, and the case is very strong, so don't dismiss it so easily. It's a very erudite and you know, highly plausible idea that if there is indeed some sort of spiritual awakening, something going on behind the scenes that we don't know, this evolution of man towards higher understanding, well then, yeah, all of that evil is us doing what we end up changing. We act out our errors in life so that we say, you know, there must be a better way. And there's even so many instances of this when people have turned around and said, yeah, there must be a better way, you know, than slavery or war or whatever. So there's a strong case for that. And in that case, yes, we would be learning from evil, wouldn't we? The thing is that in my take of it all is that man is naturally good. Evil is an imposition upon him. If those impositions were removed, you see, more of us would be evolving faster, because I think there's a genuine, natural, organic, you know, need to grow, to seek for meaning and to bring meaning from within. And evil then constitutes something that resists it. So in that sense, no, we wouldn't be learning from it. Evil is defined as something that's actually restricting us from being our true selves. On a different note, looking at it differently, you could say that evil is sort of like defined by finding the easy way out. And a lot of us do this. And I mean it psychologically again. Instead of trying to force ourselves to walk the Siddhartha road, instead of trying to, you know, resist the conformity, and that resistance is coming from the true imperial self. Well, no, it's too difficult to do that. I tried, it doesn't work. Let me just conform and go along with the flow. You know, that again is evil. As to whether we learn from it or not, I don't know if we learn from evil. I think we learn more from trying to do good. If you try to do good, if you try to act morally, then is when the tests arise. To test one's mettle, right, is not to conform and go along with the gig. It's actually to try and resist it. Then life throws at you the obstacles. Then you have you know, you're cut out, you know, for a lot of heartache and pain and suffering. So it's by being moral is really doing the hardest thing in this world is actually to be true to yourself, true to other people, and acting morally is by far harder than to go along and do, you know, take the easy way, which is obviously evil. And on another level also, Nietzsche said, you know, that's what does not kill us makes us stronger. So you can question, I think it's the good person. I think it's the person who's striving to do the right thing in all cases, that he is the one who has to suffer, you know, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. But in my work, I've always insisted from day one that there is this phenomena of evil. Let's not try to negate it. Let's not try to forgive it and embrace it and all this other nonsense. I don't know where all that shit came from. What you need to be doing is not embracing it, but studying it, studying the way of it. It's a phenomenon like anything else. So you analyze it. You know, disease is an evil, isn't it? So how did the great diseases get cured? By studying what they are, by testing, by analyzing its etiology. Where did that disease come from? Oh my goodness, it's weakness in the body. Okay, let's boost the immune system. That's it. You do exactly the same thing as you deal with any pestilence in farming or in holistic healing or whatever. There's so many models by which you study the pathogen. And all my work has said that, from the last chapter of the Atlantis book all the way through my work about, you know, strengthening one's psychic sovereignty, strengthening one's immunity, so to speak. It's all just pointing in the same direction. Study evil. Once you've got to know how it works, you've exposed it. That comes with discernment, and then you're well on your way to, you know, crushing it. So we do get stronger from evil by observing it and making sure that we always keep it in our focus instead of running away from it. There's a lot of New Age people do one season world, live in the light, you know, don't look at any of that dark stuff at all. That's completely the wrong way to go about it.
Well, thank you for that, Michael. And this next question that comes from Lisa, I think will actually go well with that as well. And what she's asking is it actually possible for humanity to recover and regain our initial natural state?
Well, the answer is that not everybody, you know, I've said this in Architects of Control and other things, is that no way is this going to be, you know, a mass awakening or anything like that. It's just impossible. In the same way that change can't happen by merely political action. We've had hundreds and hundreds of years of democracy and so on. And I know that Dave, you and I were going to unpack that a little bit more in our radio interview that's coming up, and look at this interesting scheme relating to the 2012, where we've been, where we are now, and where we may be going. And this question pertains to that. But obviously, it's not going to happen also if consciousness is left at the door. And since most people are leaving consciousness at the door and running around trying to, you know, put out fires and do these things in a political way, then there's no chance. And as long as we're also believing in sort of phantasmagorias like oneness, whatever that is, you know, because there's a lot of stuff that comes up that has just no bearing on the truth at all, and people chase after it and follow it. A lot of people, don't forget, say that they'd contradict what we've just said by saying, well, it's impossible because you're all on your way down. You know, the Swallow Delubiches, even the Gerald Masseys and other scholars I could name, they're saying, look, man was in a perfected state. Now he's descended to the level of the beast, to the barbarian. So that, you know, even the Michael Cremo work has sort of looked into this devolution. So it almost makes the point completely moot. In fact, in Vedic teachings, not that I subscribe to them necessarily, but it's interesting to look into all these different modes. Well, they're telling you the same thing, that we are now we're in what's known as an age of iron, you know, a so-called black age or a Kal age, meaning ignorance. And then there's a golden age to come, you know. So they're talking about a great devolution in which man's level of intelligence goes back to the size of a walnut, and then might, you know, slowly through trial and error, he becomes a god again. So there's whole cyclical sort of insights into this, and they're kind of fascinating as well. Again, I can just break it down into saying that man would be more intelligent, would have a greater natural movement towards all of this truth had there not been these webs of ignorance that have been deliberately put on us. That's what makes me a conspiracy theorist, because I believe in a hidden hand of conspiracy. And can anybody doubt this? I mean, are we still living in the age in which people do not think that conspiracy exists? You have a thing out there called religion. You have a thing out there called politics. Believe me, there's conspiracy, and a lot of it. How can you see those two edifices right in front of you, analyze it a bit, find out how they operate, not to mention the actual secret societies, the Knights of Columbus, the Opus Dei, the College of Cardinals, the Freemasons, and what? Let's just put them aside for a moment. Religion and politics. No conspiracy. We have three-quarters of our life is to try and defend ourselves as students of conspiracy against people who go, there's no such thing. Go and ask Brian Gerrish if there's no such thing. Go and ask, you know, the students of communitarianism and what, child abuse or whatever. There's no conspiracy, right? Religion, the pedophiles crawling around Vatican City. There's no conspiracy, right? So these are the entities that have created skeins of miasma and labyrinths leading back on themselves to keep the ordinary man in a state of unbelievable ignorance, you know. And so until we handle this, until we handle religion, until we handle what it does, which much of my work is dedicated to, both on the forum and so many other places and books and what have you, until you deal with what those religions are doing and the lies that they're pouring into people's brains, you see, we're not going to be able to get back to a natural state. One other thing I'll add, very controversial, is the simple treatment of the earth. And of course, this includes the animals from a dietary point of view, all the way up to the mass genocides that we have perpetrated on the animal kingdom. If we are, you know, Adam was meant to be naming the animals, not butchering them. if we are human beings and we're meant to be, we pride ourselves of being at the top of the totem pole, the top of the food chain, you know, the greatest, most intelligent, rational species, then aren't we also indebted to show that we are that by our actions? I mean, these are innocent animals that don't have the kind of consciousness we do. Then don't we show exactly how debauched we really are in our treatment of these lessers? I mean, I thought that was what went with the human kingdom. You don't treat disabled people, and you don't treat children, and you don't treat, you know, weaker, lesser intelligent people with contempt, with the whip hand. But yet, what is this speciesism in which we treat other species in a most diabolical way? And see, as I mentioned in the last chapter of the Atlantis book, when I talked about the symbiotic connection we have with nature, with Mother Nature and the animals, and when you really understand what animals represent, same way with minerals or plants, or we have to get back into that. Now, we live in cities, we've incarcerated ourselves under fluorescent lights and, you know, all the stuff which you don't need to be told. Everyone's aware of this now in this movement, the fluoride and just the simple architecture and so many other things we could mention, you know, the electromagnetic poisoning and the medical. What a conspiracy. No, it's no conspiracy. Religion, politics, we forgot one. Medical, the white coat conspiracy, none there. They all meant to heal you, right? They're good guys, those guys. So we have this city life, and with it comes this barbed wire fence that we've put up against nature. You know, the lights of the city, we don't see the stars. We're no longer in communion. Animal, well, that's just something wrapped up, you know, mincemeat, we eat that, right? Having no clue that, yeah, what you intake into your body, you know, links you back to the earth, since their body is the earth. So one aspect that needs to be looked at, and people can make their own minds, but to me it's very, very important, because it's important that we live longer. It's important that we, you know, have a good relationship to our bodies so that we can maximize our brain power and continue on this journey of enlightenment. You can't do that when you're decrepit. You can't do that when you're drinking poisoned water and bad food, you know. And you also can't do it when you are cutting off. You know, the Native American Indians, some of these pagan tribes know this, that you can't do it when you're, you know, cut off as a species from the other species. It's just not possible, because animals play a huge role in spiritual development. One could say a paramount role. Now, the ancient Egyptians, ancient peoples knew this, so we are definitely going down the wrong course. And again, people can contact me for more information on this. They can go to pantheism.com. They can go to other websites that I've made available on my forum for information on this concept, if it's new to them, you know. There's books, there's writings, there's read the Atlantis book, read the last chapter. There's a lot of great stuff in there to, again, reconnect people in a deep way with the organism that gave us birth, the universe, right? The planet, the animals that are on there. They're not just for our use. They're not just resources like, you know, to be used and abused in the way that we're doing.